For weather we got here in August, got a little hot yesterday, but we had two good practices, obviously in what we call spider pads. Today, first day putting on the shoulder pads. Guys got knee braces on, so all the linemen will feel a little slower. Quarterbacks will have knee braces on, just protecting their plant foot as well. But happy after day two, really. I think we got a good football team, and kind of see how today goes.
Last year at this time, Mac Gonsalves was probably expecting to be a backup behind guys like Gabe Hoy and Carter Warren. He obviously ended up starting every game.
Right.
How much did that experience help him? How much did you see him grow through that? And how do you see him coming into this year with his confidence in where he's at?
I think obviously experience is everything. I mean, anytime you get game reps, it's a just a huge benefit for him. So, I think at this time last year though, Chris, he thought he was going to be starting. I think everybody feels that way and does it that way. I think. Gabe we knew banged up coming out of the bowl game, but I felt like he went in with the mental mindset that he was starting. So,
Pat, I know that it's an interesting question, but Brian Kelly apparently has started a new policy at LSU where total transparency on injuries.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering, I guess he's doing it to keep the gamblers away from his team. I was wondering if maybe you might want to start that policy here at Pittsburgh.
We used to have that policy, if you remember. I think we got rid of it in the ACC. I think it creates gambling. I think when you sit there and say who's playing and who's not, I think it creates more. I guess when you have policies like that, you're trying to help out the gambling because you want to make sure everybody's accurate and there's no. I think we have a policy in this room here that we don't talk about injuries. I mean, our kids, I hope, in your conversations with them, don't have that conversation. We talked to our guys about, that was, that Monday meeting, I believe it was, Monday or Tuesday meeting, and we talk about gambling and what people are trying to get out of you. And we don't give that stuff up. So we don't talk about it. It's an advantage for our opponents. So I think we got a great, team policy as far as just, hey, we don't talk about it. And we try to keep those gamblers away, and you hope they stay away, and I don't think we have that problem.
Is gambling something that it's been in the news this week. Is that something that you've historically had sort of education for the guys about, or are you like, oh, now's the thing we got to worry about?
I can pull up my winner's manual since 2015. We've always talked about it because it's always been part. I mean, you go back to, Pete Rose, all those things. And was it Schleister at Ohio State? Was that one of the, growing up, those were some of the things I remember. But we've always talked about it. And since I've been here, it's, all those things, hazing, Title IX stuff. It's all stuff that we cover. And try to keep injury policies and what and we try to teach them what to do and how to do it.
Pat, the receivers call themselves a Waffle House. I know Bub and Kanate, but how are they as leaders in showing some of the younger guys what they need?
They're doing a real good job. Those two guys have really grown up in the last year. They really have. Kanate, both of them really just kind of first year players last year. Now they're second year. They're talking. They're more vocal in on the field and in the classroom. In team meetings they're vocal, so they're both the Waffle House doing a good job.
Pat, what's different about Brandon George from this year compared to last year?
It's funny you asked that. I had a conversation with him yesterday, and I'm just watching him the last 2 days. He's moving better. He's down 15 pounds, and he doesn't look like. You take a picture of him, he doesn't look any small. I don't go check all the weights to see where they are, but he's down 15 pounds. He's smoother. He doesn't look as 255-pound linebacker in the spring is stiff. And I said, shoot, we should have moved you to D tackle. He goes, no, DN. So he was a DN guy who moves pretty darn good for a defensive end. So he's looked, and again we'll get into pads today, but he's really looking the best he's ever looked.
Was last year kind of tough for him having to sit out? It seems like he has a lot of energy.
Yeah, he's got a high motor. He's got all kinds of juice to him. It was tough. When he got hurt and then he came back and then he jumped in a pile and got hurt again and re-injured it and just never was the same. So I don't think anybody saw the Brandon George that you'll see in 2023.
Every year you give us a young player who's sparking up occasionally in practice, but you keep pushing. They have to be more consistent. Are there any guys like that have carried over from spring that you're keeping watch on?
All these young guys are good. Having as many guys in spring ball as we've had. I'll just give you, just a couple of young guys or a young guy to look at. I'm impressed with Zion Fowler-El right now. Just like what he's done on offense right now. He wasn't in spring ball. It's kind of one of those surprises. And then the last guy would be that guy. I know that's PJ. We don't look at PJ. Is Cruz Brookins has been really, pretty impressive for a young guy coming in, local guy that he's again, wasn't here in spring, got here a little bit early just because he's local and he can come down and get a lift and do all those things. But he's been impressive as well. So there's a guy on offense, defense that has done a nice job.
How's Derek Davis picking up the system?
Derek Davis, again, another guy that's a semester in. He's been impressive. Again, we're going to find out what happens when the pads go on today and obviously when we go live. But, obviously he knows the playbook a little bit better than he did in the spring. I mean, that's always a concern to me. Sometimes you get out there and you dot the I and you're kind of like, okay, you're about 75 to 80% sure and you're still questioning whether you know it. And that's not just him, that's every position. But he just looks a little bit more confident, which I think every kid is. You go to a second year of an offense and, especially an offense just when, there's not as much experience there.
Is it tough for him because of the defense this time last year?
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't played offense for a couple of years. I mean, he did, in bowl prep maybe, but I mean, his offense is brand new to him, yes.
In high school, he kind of made a habit of running away from guys. He had that breakaway speed. Has he shown that at all in the spring or this summer?
He's got wheels now. I mean, he's a big dude, though. He should be a big physical tailback, but he's got the ability to break away from you, too. So there's, we'll find out. I mean, does he have Izzy last night? Izzy took that corner. I thought maybe you wore your green today for Izzy, but that was a nice ride. I just happened to sit down in my office. I look up, it's on, and then here he goes. So I got to see that and retweet that thing like that.